This is the second video in my series about how I passed 2 bar exams in the same year on the first try. In this video, I'm going to talk about the New York UBE and what I did differently to take it after passing Georgia bar exam. So, as you remember, this is my score sheet for this exam. Here is my score. I got 298 total and 150.9 on the MBE part. I don't know what's the decimal is all about, but at least I got over 150. And I started preparing in June, about 2 months. And the New York bar exam was scheduled for July, end of July, in the summer. So I started preparing for it in June. And there are some important differences that influenced my preparation. First, of course, I already knew what the bar exam environment was like. I already knew that I passed the Georgia bar exam, and I knew what it would feel like. So that's a plus. Minus is that the drive to pass the second bar exam is not quite the same as the first, right? I knew that even if I was to fail, I would still be a lawyer, I would still be licensed in Georgia. So it took a bit of convincing myself to still give it my best. Another plus is that I still had a lot of my skills and my knowledge that I developed for the Georgia bar exam. I lost some of it. It was very obvious to me as I started preparation that I wasn't as nimble, as fast as and efficient with my essay work as I was in February before Georgia bar exam. But a lot of it was still there. So I started my preparation with, once again, assessing my strengths and weaknesses and doing a strategy session. So I've analyzed the bar exam structure like this here. So 400 score is the maximum. Out of it, you need 266 to pass, and 50% is MB, same as Georgia. You have 6 S's instead of 4. 30% of the score comes from there, and 20% of the score comes from MPT. But I adjusted my base assumptions a little. I've increased my base assumption for the MBE score. I put it to 140. I got 145 in Georgia, but I thought I'll be conservative and suppose if I was to take it tomorrow, I would do 140. I've assigned myself 50%, 60 points on the essays simply because there is a number of subject matter areas that I was not too familiar with, that I did not have in school. And that would be different from the Georgia law. And I've assigned myself the same 75% to MPTs because MPTs would be basically the same. I wanted to be conservative, so I said 75% and not higher. And that's what I went with. Then I looked at my development areas, and my base numbers gave me a number of 260, which is a failing score, but it still is very, very close to passing the bar. So I knew I needed to make some effort, but it would not need to be a huge effort to get me over the top. So I thought I wanted to work more on the MBEs this time because a lot of subject matter areas overlap with what on the essays are, and because in UBE, obviously there are no state-related law issues, right? The law is the same on MBEs. It would be the same in the same areas of law on the essays questions. So by preparing for the MBEs, I would be also preparing for a lot of the areas that would be covered in the essays. And I already knew how to prepare for the MPTs. I knew I would need to write several MPTs, and I saved them for the last week before the exam. I just needed to refresh my skill with that. So I focused my attention based on this strategy session partly on the essays, partly on the MBEs. For the essays, there would be practice in the structure, the IRAC structure, and for the MBEs, it would be law, learning as much of it as I can. So I didn't have the Kaplan course anymore. I didn't want to pay for another bar prep course. I didn't feel that I needed it again. What I did was I got a MBE only course from a provider called Biz Multis. I'll put the link in the video description. The reason I picked this course was because after looking at all the others, I thought it was absolutely best approach to preparing for the MBEs. And here is what it does best. It uses mostly real MBE questions, and when giving the explanations, it doesn't only explain the correct answer. It goes into great detail in explaining the wrong answer, and as far as I know, no other software does it. It highlights the relevant keywords and it puts the relevant conclusions in the body of the question itself. So if you look at their sample question and sample answers, you'll see that it breaks down the question into relevant parts. And the presented answers also get some highlight in addition to the explanation of what the law is. So I got that course and I did a lot of practice questions. I was practicing for several weeks, and in fact during the bar exam, well, not during, between the bar exam days in the hotel in New York, I was practicing. I was taking all the practice questions I could. And another benefit of their software is that they have an app for the phone, so I could practice in the plane, I could practice in the park, I could take a ton of those practice questions, and that's what I did. And the second thing I did was I got a ton of, once again, model essays, and I started rewriting them, and I started learning about areas of law that were not covered in Georgia, that would have their nuances in the UBE. Another thing I did that was very helpful was I bought a last-minute review, UBE review session from BarMD, which covered some of the topics that were expected to be on the bar exam, and it also came with a collection of sample essays within the areas of law that were expected to be covered on the summer UBE. So I started writing and rewriting those essay answers to get a better understanding of the law that would be different from Georgia, that would be expected to be on the UBE. So basically, to sum it up, I still worked hard, very hard. I did a lot of writing of essay answers, I did a lot of writing of MPTs. I really focused on MBE, which is shown in the results, right? I increased my score from 145 to 150. And all that I did. I didn't take any time off work while doing that. I did that while working, and I did not study as intensively as I did for the Georgia exam, but only because I've had to pass an exam a few months ago. And finally, I knew that I had to have my skills for the MPT as sharp as possible. Basically, that was my ace in my sleeve, because MPTs can be done with repetition, can be gotten to the point where I can do them very well just with practice. And that's what I did. I did maybe 7 or 8 of them in a week before the exam. I got my structure down where I would be uh, reading the exam pack while already typing out the structure of my answer, setting out the paragraphs, maybe writing some facts down, and that tremendously helped me keep the speed up on the MPTs. And for the essay questions, once again, I followed the very strict IRAC structure. And to me, essay questions in New York were more difficult because there is a bigger time constraint. There are 6 essay questions in a 3-hour time period, which means 30 minutes per essay, which is not a lot. If you've seen those UBE essay prompts, they can be very long and very intense, so just reading them and understanding them and spotting all the relevant issues would take a lot of those 30 minutes. So once again, I got to the point where there was this automatic structure. I was typing what the issue is. I was typing some rules of law. I was typing applications and conclusions while I was still reading the cases. And one thing I did that I'm not so sure about whether it was helpful or not to me in New York essays was I went through all of them, right? I read through every question and then I started writing them out of order. I think I started writing the last essay. I don't remember what the exact order is, but I think I started writing the last essay because I felt most comfortable with it. Then I took 15 minutes with it, no more. Then I started writing the next easiest essay for me. I took 15 minutes with that. Then I put 15 minutes into the next essay, and then I put 15 minutes into another essay. And I went through all of them, giving them about 15 minutes time. And then I went back and continued working on them, just so that I would have some time for my subconscious to think about the law, think about the implication, think about what I should be writing as I switch from essay to essay. Now, it worked for me reasonably well. I still got a very good score on the bar exam, and half of that score is attributable to essays and MPTs, so I was doing something right. But take this with a grain of salt. If you can do better by focusing on a single essay, do that. Just be mindful of time limits. They're very tight on the UBE. But for me, that's what I did. I jumped from essay to essay to essay, adding little bits and pieces, and then I gave 5 minutes to each essay to finish them up, so that I would not go back to them again. So that's what I did. And that's all I have to say about what I did for the New York bar exam. And thank you for watching, thank you for listening. And if this video helps to anybody, I'm glad. And if you are preparing to take your bar exam now, I wish you all the best. And if I can do it, anybody can. You just need to put in some hard work.